A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. This week, Hurricane Helene has thrown the presidential candidates' plans into disarray as they navigate the aftermath of the devastating storm. The death toll has tragically surpassed 100, with North Carolina suffering some of the worst inland flooding. Democratic nominee Kamala Harris has decided to cut short her campaign visit to Las Vegas, returning to Washington for urgent briefings on the disaster. Meanwhile, Republican candidate Donald Trump is heading to Georgia to assess the storm's impact firsthand. As the candidates grapple with the humanitarian crisis, the political ramifications are becoming increasingly apparent in the final weeks of the presidential campaign. Natural disasters often serve as political tests for elected officials, and this storm is no exception. The White House has confirmed that Harris plans to visit the affected areas as soon as it is logistically feasible without disrupting emergency response efforts. President Joe Biden has also addressed the nation regarding his administration's response to Hurricane Helene, announcing plans to visit the impacted regions later this week. In a show of support for the victims, a GoFundMe campaign initiated by Trump has raised over $1 million, aimed at providing financial assistance to those affected. The campaign is described as an official response for MAGA supporters to help fellow Americans in need. During his visit to Valdosta, Georgia, Trump brought supplies, including fuel, which will be distributed by the Christian relief organization Samaritan's Purse. However, Trump did not miss the opportunity to criticize the Biden administration's response to the disaster, despite his own history of delaying disaster aid during his presidency. He faced backlash for previously diverting funds from FEMA to address immigration issues, which raises questions about his current stance on federal disaster relief. Project 2025, an initiative backed by Trump supporters, proposes restructuring FEMA to limit aid to states, which could hinder future disaster responses. In a heated exchange, President Biden refuted Trump's claims about communication with Georgia officials, stating that the governor had indeed been in contact with him. Biden expressed concern over Trump's misleading statements, emphasizing the importance of clear communication during a crisis. State election officials in North Carolina are actively working to ensure that voters in the hardest-hit counties have access to information regarding their voting options. An emergency board meeting has been convened to discuss how voters can declare natural disaster as a valid reason for not being able to present a photo ID. The bipartisan effort to facilitate voting amid the crisis highlights the importance of maintaining democratic processes even during emergencies. The White House has vehemently pushed back against Trump's accusations of unresponsiveness, citing that Georgia Governor Brian Kemp had spoken directly to Biden about the state's needs. Kemp praised the federal response, noting that FEMA has been embedded with state operations since the storm hit. The governor also confirmed that he has submitted a request for expedited federal aid, which is crucial for recovery efforts. Meanwhile, Trump's visit to Georgia has been met with mixed reactions. Dexter Sharper, a Democratic state representative from Valdosta, expressed indifference to the former president's presence, focusing instead on coordinating relief efforts for those affected by the storm. He emphasized the need for a bipartisan approach to disaster recovery, stating that political affiliations should not impede aid efforts. In a news conference in Augusta, Georgia, both Kemp and U.S. Representative Rick Allen refrained from criticizing the federal response, highlighting the importance of collaboration among federal, state, and local partners. Allen noted that disaster relief is a nonpartisan issue that affects all Americans, regardless of political affiliation. As Trump prepares to visit Valdosta with supplies and support from local officials, he continues to stoke political tensions by claiming that the federal government is neglecting Republican areas. However, such claims lack evidence, as many of the hardest-hit areas are predominantly Democratic. In the lead-up to the upcoming vice presidential debate, the Trump campaign is managing expectations for the performance of Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, emphasizing his experience while also preparing for a competitive debate against Minnesota's Democratic governor, Tim Walz. As the candidates navigate these tumultuous waters, the impact of Hurricane Helene on their campaigns is undeniable, forcing them to confront the realities of disaster response and the political implications that come with it. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.